Hey guys, this is Hunter with Dial H for HeroClix, and we have another entry today in our Rules Explanation series. Today's topic is Wolverine and the X-Men Hope Summers 040, and specifically her power Omega Level Mutant. Give Hope Summers a free action. She can use the powers of one chosen adjacent character until your next turn. So we're going to go over what she can and cannot copy so that while you're playing you can come to some conclusions by yourself. The first question that comes up in my mind when I look at Hope's power is, what exactly are considered quote-unquote powers? Powers are powers that show up in the power slots. So, for example, on Wolverine's dial you see Charge, Blades, Invul, and Battle Fury. Now his Indom symbol gives him willpower. However, that is not considered a quote-unquote power when you look at abilities like Hope Summers. She cannot copy that Indom, that willpower, and that's because it's not in a slot on the dial, and we'll go over later how we come to those conclusions. So powers are powers that you see in the actual slots on the movement, the attack, the defense, and the damage. One thing that you're going to see a lot while we're talking about Hope and the way that her power works is that she can only copy powers that are possessed by an adjacent figure, and we'll go over what possess means as opposed to can use. This comes into question whenever you say, well, can Hope copy a trait? For example, AVX Cap's trait, which says Avengers Assemble, Cap can use leadership. When he does, and the result is 6, blah 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 blah. But the question is, can she use leadership? She cannot copy his leadership, and the reason is Cap does not possess that leadership. The trait says can use, which means he does not have it, he just has the ability to use it at the moment. There are one or two specific figures in the game that have traits that say this character possesses blank blank. For example, Drax, he has one that says like he chooses a certain character and then for the rest of the game he possesses willpower and something else. In that case you could copy with Hope that willpower, but other than that, most traits, almost every trait says can use. So therefore can use means you can use it but you don't possess it. If you see it specifically say possess or has, as if it said Captain America has leadership, then you would be okay, then you possess that power. Now another thing that brings into question a lot is powers like white box powers. Say that Cap's white box power says takedown. Captain America can use incapacitate, as if he had 2 targets. When he does and hits 2 characters, he can give one so many tokens, blah blah blah. So you say, well, Hunter, it says Captain America can use incapacitate. That's correct. He does not technically possess incapacitate, but he possesses the white power, the entire power, the takedown. So when Hope goes to copy, she has to copy takedown. She can't specifically copy incap. One example that kind of flagged off in my head would be Flatman from Wolverine and the X-Men, who has a damage power that reads, the smartest man in this closet at least. Flatman can use Outwit but may only target characters of 100 points or less. So when Hope copies his power, she has to take the entire thing. She has to use the caveat of only targeting characters 100 points or less, because Flatman can use Outwit. He is only possessing the entire power, the smartest man power. He does not possess only Outwit. So she can't just take Outwit and outwit anybody. She would have to follow the same caveat that Flatman does, where she can outwit but may only target characters 100 points or less. Another topic I want to cover with her is resources. Some relics and resources give you certain abilities and powers while you're using them. So let's say that Captain America is assigned the Infinity Gauntlet, which is currently showing Charge. So Captain America can use Charge. The question is, can Hope use her power to copy Cap's abilities copy Cap's powers, and will she be able to use Charge? The answer is no. Captain America does not possess Charge. He can use it through the effects of the resource. So he does not possess it at all. Therefore, she cannot copy it. Her power only copies possessed powers. So either if Cap had the Null's Hammer, Running Shot Willpower, she can't copy either of those because he can use. If the Book of Skulls is currently showing Psychic Blast, Impervious, and all that craziness that it shows, she still can't copy any of that from the Captain America. Another question is, when Hope copies the powers, it says that she copies the powers of an adjacent figure. Does she have to remain adjacent to said figure to keep those powers? And the answer is no. In this example, let's say that Wolverine and Hope are teaming up to take down Sabretooth. And Hope uses her ability, and she copies Wolverine's powers, which are Charged Blades, Invul, and Battle Fury. Hope can charge away from Wolverine. She can use her free action to copy his powers, charge away, and then attack, and still keep charge and blades and everything, even though she is no longer adjacent to Wolverine. All that's important is when she uses the free action, that she was adjacent to the character she's copying. It's basically, think of it as a picture or like a snapshot. At the moment that you declare the free action of Omega level mutant, when you declare that, you take basically the snapshot of their powers, and for the rest of the turn, until your next turn, matter of fact, she can use those. So even if she charges in and she is no longer next to Wolverine, when she passes the turn over to the Sabretooth player's turn, she still has Wolverine's invulnerability and his Battle Fury. So she can't be mind controlled or incapped, and she still gets the invulnerability on top of her energy shield deflection. Let's explain another situation. Let's say that Hope and 75-point Wolverine are facing off against little old Flatman. And Flatman uses his Outwit on characters of 100 or less. Let's go in order here. Hope copies Wolverine's powers, and she chooses them all, so she has Charge, Blades, Toughness, Exploit. And she charges in on Flatman over here, and let's say she misses. And so she still has Charge, Blades, Toughness, and Exploit. Now, when they pass turn over to Flatman, if Flatman outwits Wolverine's Toughness, or anybody else outwits Wolverine's Toughness, does Hope still have Wolverine's Toughness? And the answer is yes. Again, you got to think of it as a snapshot. When she copied the powers, Wolverine had Toughness. She doesn't have to stay adjacent to him, and he doesn't have to still keep the powers. It's just at the time that she was given the free action, she got Toughness. So she still has Toughness. You would have to outwit her attack ability, her Omega level mutant. And that would honestly be your better option, is to outwit that so that you then get rid of all of those powers that she got, because you counter it, therefore she no longer has any of that stuff. Alright, so one point that some people get hung up on this power is when you read Hope's Omega level mutant, she can use the powers of one chosen adjacent character until your next turn. So where some people get confused is whenever you have a power like Captain America's attack ability Takedown that we talked about earlier, where it reads Captain America can use Incap as if he had two targets. The general rule of thumb, and what will help you better understand Hope Summers and how she interacts, is in that situation with that power, what you do is substitute Hope Summers' name in for the specific figure's name. So instead of saying take down Captain America can use Incap, if she copies and she uses it, you read the power as Hope Summers can use Incapacitate as if he or she had two targets. When she does and hits two characters, she may give one hit character 2 action tokens instead of giving each of them 1. If that character can't be given the second action token, deal it 1 penetrating damage instead. So that was a simple... Now, in this situation with Cap's power, it was pretty simple. You just substitute in Hope for Cap, and it makes total sense. Now we're going to get into some very specific ways that she can take advantage of that fact of the substituting her name, and we'll see what you can and cannot do with that. Alright, one fun but confusing interaction that goes by what we were just talking about is when you talk about revert powers. Now for reverts, she can use some of them and some of them she can't, and we'll go over why. Let's take, for example, Null from Fear itself. If you want to follow along on the HC Realms unit section, you can do so. Look at Null's revert power on his movement ability and read it along with me. Give Null a free action and replace him with a figure named Hulk of equal or less points. That's the same number of clicks from its starting line. You may assign FI Null's Hammer to that character, and it can't be given an action this turn. Now let's substitute in Hope's name for every instance of Null. Now, one thing I want to note, you're only substituting Hope in the power for the name of Null. For any other name, you do not substitute. So Hulk, that still stays in there. Just whatever figure she's copying, that's whose name she substitutes. So on Hope Summers, on this revert power, if she wants to copy that, you would read, give Hope Summers a free action and replace her with a figure named Hulk of equal or less points. That's the same number of clicks from its starting line. You may assign the Null's Hammer to that character, and it can't be given an action this turn. So you can turn Hope into a Hulk figure. As long as, now she would still have to follow the less than her points, so it'd have to be less than 75. So you'd have to find a Hulk that's less than 75, but theoretically, you could do that. So we substituted Hope Summers in for the Null, and the power still made sense, and we were still able to use it. Now let's look at a different revert and show you why some people's cannot be used. Let's look at another character's revert and see if Hope would be able to use this particular revert though. Look at Red She-Hulk, Fear Itself 020, and her Mighty Revert power reads, when turning the dial, if this click is revealed due to damage taken from an opponent's attack, stop turning the dial, give Red She-Hulk a free action. So in this case you would say give Hope Summers a free action and replace her with a figure with the same name and less points. That's the same number of clicks from its starting line. So here's the problem with her power. It says replace her with a figure with the same name and less points. That's your problem. You're having to replace her with a figure also named Hope Summers. Because when you do this power for Hope, you're going to read give Hope Summers a free action and replace her with a figure with the same name. So you're having to put in a new Hope Summers that costs less than 75 points. There is no Hope Summers that costs less than 75 points. So at this time in the game of HeroClix, maybe in the future they make another one that's cheaper, and then you would in fact be able to do this. But at this point, you will not be able to use Red She-Hulks because there is no Hope Summers. But you were able to use Nulls because it specifically said replace it with a Hulk. So that's just one thing. It's going to be a case-by-case basis. You're going to have to substitute in Hope's name for the specific figure and then go from there and see if it would be legal or not. Now let's talk about alter egos using a figure that you probably may have never even seen, and that's Red Mist. I wanted to break out some kick-ass figures. Red Mist has an alter ego, and let's read it. Let's read it as if Hope was copying it. Give Hope Summers a power action that does no pushing damage and replace this character with KA2004 Chris D'Amico on its orange starting line. This power can't be countered. So she could, in fact, turn into Chris D'Amico. You'd give her a power action. You would replace her with that same with that specific Chris D'Amico on its orange starting line. So any alter ego that reads the same way, and that is how almost all the alter egos read. So next question is, can I daisy chain Hope Summers off of another Hope Summers to copy the powers on a further adjacent one? Now for this example, I do not in fact have two Hope Summers, so I'm just going to use this Marvel Girl. We're going to pretend that that is Hope Summers as well. So we have two Hope Summers here, and we have one Wolverine. And the question is, if this Hope Summers in the middle uses her Omega level mutant power and snapshots Wolverine's powers, can this Hope Summers now use her Omega level mutant and snapshot those powers that this Hope got from Wolverine? The answer is no. Again, this Hope Summers does not possess Charge, Blades, Toughness, and Exploit Weakness. She simply can use them through the effects of doing the copy. So when this Marvel Girl uses Omega level mutant and she chooses Hope Summers, she won't be able to copy Charge, Blades, Toughness, and Exploit Weakness. She would just be able to copy Running Shot and Energy Shield and Perplex. Here's another question. Can Hope Summers copy the effects of an opposing adjacent character? So in this example, we have Hope and Wolvie teamed up again, and they're fighting against Sabretooth. And can Hope Summers copy the opposing Sabretooth's powers? The answer is yes, because when we read her powers, give her a free action, she can use the powers of one chosen adjacent character. It does not specify that they need to be friendly. So she can take Sabretooth's special blades power or special mortal wound power and his reflexes and super senses. So in summation, powers are considered powers that are showing in the ability slots, and the powers that she copies must be possessed and not can use. She has to take all parts of the power if it is a white power, the good and the bad parts of that. She just has to be adjacent when she initially is given the free action to copy. And she can use reverts and alter egos in certain situations as long as the wording works out. So the general rule of thumb is substitute the figure's name, substitute Hope Summers' name into where the figure's name would be. And that's going to wrap it up for Hope Summers. I hope you guys are enjoying the rules explanation series. If you have any questions on Hope Summers, please feel free to post them in the comments section. But also, if you have any other figures or resources or any game effects that you would like covered in the rules explanation videos, please comment in the YouTube comments on this video and let me know what those would be, and we'll definitely cover it. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out Dial H Your HeroClix podcast every week on YouTube, iTunes, and Podbean.com.